Hi everybody and welcome back to Nellie North Designs. Today we are on week 18 of Margarete Miller's weekly collage planner challenge. And this week is a bit different. There aren't a lot of prompts. There's only one prompt and it says find a special photo that can serve as the focus of your collage. Look for additional papers that can enhance what you see in the photo. So the first thing I was going to get, it says find a photo. I was going to look for, I don't know why, but it didn't register in my brain that it was like a real photo. I'm taking this as a real photo. I guess it could be an old yearbook photo or something that Tim Holtz produces, a faux photo. But I took it as to use a photo that I personally had that I could relate to, and then work around that to enhance that particular photo. So this should be fun. I don't know how it's going to come out. I have a little idea in my head, but we'll see. So, thanks for joining in. So this is my photo that I chose. And it's a photo of the house I grew up in, Cape style, little, I think it was like 900 square feet, 800 and something square feet. There was 5 of us in the house. This here was my parents' bedroom. This here was our little living room. On the back side, there was another bedroom, the bathroom, the kitchen. Up here, this part of the house, like I said, Cape style, so it was all one room. This is where my brothers slept until the one moved out and the one went in the service. Then I moved upstairs. And then this here was an addition that my dad put on the house when I was little. And this became the dining room. So when he first built the house, it was this part here. And then there was a really lovely screened-in back porch that he also added on. And this is a beautiful bridal wreath tree bush that we had. Over here is a very large, beautiful Sergeant Crab tree that bloomed, had magnificent blooms in the spring. This is the main route of the road. The front yard, I was never allowed to play in the front yard because they go 45, 50 miles an hour on this road. We lived on a corner lot. And when I was little, we have a little garden shed back here, but the backyard was beautiful. And then the neighborhood sprawled out behind here. So we could sit on the back porch, and my girlfriends lived up the road. So we saw everybody coming and going because we were on the corner here. And my mother used to tell me, I mean, this is the story. I don't remember because I was little. But she would say to me, Barbara, don't go in the front yard. Make sure you play in the backyard. So she said I would come out the door and I would run right around to the front. So it must be in my mind when I was little, I figured, this was the backyard. Or I mean, this was the front yard because I went out the door. And so she said, make sure you play in the backyard. So I would always run around to the front. So she had to teach me, stay in this yard right here out and back. But so this was the house. So this is where, this is where all of my my teaching took place, my parents nurturing and teaching, and so many good memories, good times. Had a wonderful neighborhood. There was kids galore. I mean, you can't see it. This is the side road that goes up past, and the kids that lived in this neighborhood were anywhere from 3 years old, 2 years old. My girlfriends parents lived here when they were born, up until 12. So the age was like 3 to 12. And as we grew, I mean, there was all different ages. So it was just a really cool neighborhood to grow up in. And we had rain in the neighborhood. We just ran everywhere. It was a time where you could go out, ride your bike. My brother used to ride his bike. He played baseball when he was in school, and he would have to ride on the main drag. And like I said, the cars would do 45 miles an hour on here. And I can remember my mother would say, take your sister to the ball field with you. And it was a good, I don't know, 2 miles away. And he would throw me on the front of his handlebars. And I would just be sitting on his handlebars, and he'd be looking over around my shoulders and stuff. And he would just ride me to the elementary school with him. And there was no, those were the days of no helmets. And, you threw somebody on the handlebars and you just drove off, and you just had the rule of the road, and the cars watched out for you. And yeah, it was a pretty cool time to grow up. So I thought I would use this photo here and kind of work around it. What, additional papers to enhance what went on in my home, and, how we grew up, and how this home and my parents molded us kids with our morals and our upbringing, and a little bit of hobbies that went on in here. So I'm going to try to, again, work around this photo, and I'll tell you what it means to me and what it was like for me, to live in this sweet little bungalow. And now my mom passed away in 18, and my girlfriend, one of my dear girlfriends, her daughter bought the home, and she lives there now with her son, who's 8, and they've had this house 18, 19, 21, 3 years now, 4 years, and they've made it a home. There's children back in it, and it's wonderful. I haven't driven by because my brother and my son drove by. They put a stockade fence all around it, and I don't want to see that. I want to remember how I grew up, because and I guess these were always cedar shakes on here, and they put vinyl siding on it. I can't go there. I don't even want to try to see what it looks like now. So as far as the background, I do have, oh, right here. I have these really pretty peonies, because that's one item that we're always growing in the garden. So I want to focus. I want to get some paper here. I really want to focus on that there. And I'm going to keep this up here where it says spring bulbs. And I am going to put this page right on here, because that is one thing that when I think of home, well, I guess I don't have any of my my glue sticks. When I think of home, my home, that house that I grew up in, I think of flowers, because my parents were avid gardeners. They both enjoyed it. And there were a variety of flowers that I grew up with. We had crocus in the spring, daffodils. On this side of the porch, right behind this shrub, was a flower garden. And over along, we had a sidewalk that you took when you got off the porch, and along there was a very large flower bed. And when I was in kindergarten, my mom would pick a bouquet of flowers for me to take on the school bus to bring to the teacher. And she did that every spring and summer when the tulips came up for the kindergarten, first, second grade. I didn't do it in third grade. But I can remember how much my teacher loved them. So what I want to do here is I would like to try to tuck this photo around these flowers. So I'm just going to roughly cut these out. And when I was real small, we had apple trees in the backyard, and they were cut down. I don't know why. I know my mom had told me why one time, but I don't remember. And my dad, on one side, he had a really nice, I was really small. I only remember this because of photos. He had a vegetable garden with really, really nice tomatoes. So I'm going to figure out here. I think what I'm going to do is cut. I'm going to put these in my basket here so I don't. I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to take these here. Take this out here first. I'm just kind of looking at these green, the leaves that are attached to this here. Let me just give this a go here. So I think I will do that. And I can take these. I'm going to just try to lay this out because I have a few things that I want to include in this. Yeah, I like those. I like those peonies like that. We had beautiful lilac bushes in the yard. They were planted down the road. This was our air conditioner, and right in this area we had beautiful lilac bushes there that they planted. They were gone. This is an older photo. And I also clipped out from the dictionary the definition of home. And it's the place where one resides, a place of origin, one's birthplace or residence during the formative years. And that's what really got me, the formative years, because, you know, between what they say, between birth to 6 years old, those are your most formative years. And I will say that I think my parents did one heck of a job with all of us. And I have these stamps here. This is where I'm going to get into look for additional papers that can enhance what you see in the photo. And what I want you to see in the photo, other than, my home, I want you to see, kind of what went in the home, what went on around the home. And I pulled these stamps here because my mom was a huge stamp collector. She did a lot of things, but she got my brother into stamp collecting. That was uh, an activity that they did together. But my mother, right up until, you know, before she passed, she still collected stamps. And it was just something that she loved to do. It was one of her passions. So I wanted to include these. I wanted to include these in the collage as well. And I think if I just take, I can cut maybe this out here. That way I can still use those couple little pieces. And I can tuck that. I'll be able to tuck that right there. So we have that there. We have this here. And then the other thing that I wanted to add was one thing that always, the flag, my dad always had a flag up. My dad served in World War II. He was a tail gunner, and his troop, well, not troop, I don't think they call them troops, his group, they were part of the first daylight raids over Germany. And they had so many successful missions. And it was very important. My dad was, both my parents were very patriotic, but especially my dad. He really, really loved this country. And, after serving in World War II, his bomber group would still get together every year. It was a very, very tight-knit group, his bomber group, and he would go to all the reunions, and he was the last one of them. But a lot of them lived in Florida. He would go to Florida every winter, and he would spend time with them. They would write letters back and forth. They would, call each other. It was actually it was an incredible group of men. But he was very, 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 very patriotic. And he taught all of us that, how to love our country and what a lot of things stand for, especially our flag. And so I want to incorporate the Pledge of Allegiance on this page. The other thing I want to put on here, that I have two sayings, and this one here, it's really, again, how we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. And it is so true. If you grow up in a very loving home, you're going to carry that through into your home as you grow older. If you grow up in a home where your parents, had good morals and definitely, taught you right from wrong, kind of kept you on the straight and narrow. We all hope that that's the course that you take. And in our home, we were never lectured. It's not how my parents were, but when 18 rolled around and it was legal drinking age, and I would start going out with my girlfriends to the nightclubs and the bars. And, my dad would always say to me, before you do anything, just remember me, just remember me. Um, and that little tiny bit always made me think, um, you know, how to act, how to behave. So it was always the little things. And then this one I also saw. It says, keep those who can laugh and share with you in your heart at all times. And that's one thing that, again, in our home growing up, it didn't matter who, our back porch was the place that people gathered. People loved our back porch, and the neighbors would come down. And it didn't matter if they came in at dinner time. My mother was putting food on the table. My father always, why don't you have a bite to eat with us? Stick around. He'd bring his plate out. If they declined, he would go out, and we'd sit on the back porch in the summertime and eat with them. We always shared. My dad's garden, he would share with the neighbors. A lot of sharing went on in our home. Our whole neighborhood, they shared a lot. And then as far as laughing, it was nonstop laughter in our home. Always a good joke to be told. My parents loved their, 70s sitcoms, All in the Family, laughing, just a good laugh. They loved the Jeffersons. So there was a lot of laughter that went on constantly in our home. And same with our relatives. They just I guess I'll say, as poor as they grew up, and none of them had easy childhoods. They just and after the war, they just wanted to enjoy life, and they did. There was no shortage of laughter in our home. And the other, my parents never judged anybody either. I mean, I don't know, like when you were growing up, we had a lot of weddings to attend. I had a lot of cousins, and after the reception, there was always a home party, because I guess my relatives liked to party. And it seemed like the after parties were always at our house, out in the backyard. And I can remember, some of my relatives were big drinkers. But they weren't the type that, they weren't brawlers. I guess I could say they were happy drunks. And they'd be sleeping on our couch, or they'd be sick, and my father would always tend to them, and sometimes he would, have to drive them home, but never any questions, or never any snide remarks or anything like that went on. Just always there to help. And I think I might put the home down here. And I think I may cut this a little bit. Maybe put this along the top. Put that there. Maybe put that don't really want to cover up a lot of the, maybe just like that. And I think maybe what I will do is I think I can make a little slice along here and tuck. Whoop, I'm just going to make a slice along here, and I can tuck those flowers possibly right down inside here. So this may not take up. I can actually tuck it down like that and give that a little bit more room. So I think that might be the way to go. So, all right, so I think the first thing I need to do is get this on here. And I'll just put a little bit on there to try to get this. And I think I'll do it down here like this. All right. And that's where I want to, you know, I see photos like this, and I think what I'm going to try, I keep saying I need to scrapbook. I need to get these pictures in, and I think I'm going to treat my, I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to treat my scrapbooking like a, gonna do it junk journal style with more collaging like this, and I know the pages are 12 by 12, but I think this would work out really well. Because I really do, I miss working with, you know, my photos, the family photos. All right, so let's get this. And that's where I get upset with myself, because I keep saying, oh, I'm going to scrapbook. I'm going to get all of these family photos done. And then I get doing other things. And that was one of my goals for this year, was to get all of, well, not all of them, because I have so many, but start getting the scrapbooking photos done. I think I'm just going to have to do it. I think summer might be a really good time for me to do that, because with summer coming, I'm going to cut my schedule back just a little bit. I'll still do, I think, 3 videos a week or 4, but they're going to be much simpler projects. I think more challenges and things like that. So, and then that way I can focus on some of my more personal stuff. Okay, so we're going to put the flowers here. And with my planners as well, I don't get rid of my plan. I have planners that go back to the early 80s, when my husband and I first got married. I don't throw my planners away. So I try to make these, you know, a little more personal, even though it is the challenge, because that way I can go back and go through it. And every now and then we'll pull out planners from years ago and see, you know, where we were, who we were with, what trips we took. So that does make it fun. And I guess I didn't leave up there the garden thing, did I? I covered that up. All right, so we have the flag, which I'm not opposed to putting that down there. The other thing I wanted to add, I may add this. My dad was a big fisherman, and he would bring home, he was always bringing home trout. He was a big trout fisherman, and he was always bringing trout and milkweeds home. I think I will put that there like that. He was always bringing trout and milkweeds home, and that would be our dinner many nights. He cooked I can remember he'd go out on the picnic table and he would lay down a lot of newspapers, and he would, you know, prepare the fish out there, because my mother didn't want it prepared in the house, you know, all cut up and everything. And then he cooked the milkweeds in a big pot with salt pork, and then it was just like spinach. And then we would have them with butter and salt and pepper, and the trout. It was really good. It was really, really good. So I think we will put that up there. Yeah, I think this will work out just fine. This I think I'm gonna there. How we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. And then I'm going to put this little home. I want to put the definition of home. I think I'm going to put that right down here in the corner. And this week's challenge is all done. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and listening to me ramble on about my growing up and my home, my dad built that home. And when he built it, there was he dug the foundation out himself, and there was a terrible storm, and it all collapsed and caved in on him, and he had to redig it. After that, he ended up, I think my mom said he ended up in the hospital, probably from exhaustion. But my uncles, all my uncles and my dad, they built each other's homes, and this house is just as sturdy as can be. And my mom, yep, she lived in that home for 70 years before she passed. So it's very well built, very well constructed, and those 3 or 4 men, they knew what they were doing. So there you have it. That is my Collage Weekly Planner for week 18, and I hope you liked it. If you did, I'd love to have you give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment. I love reading all your comments as well, and I will see you in my next video. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.